Hi everyone, welcome. It's Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, so it's time for Stamping with Denise. I'm so glad you're here with me. Hope everyone had a great week. I'm not going to waste too much time. We're going to get started here, but we have to do our housekeeping. Please, if you like my video, please share my video. That's one of the best things you can do to help my videos be seen by other people. The algorithm loves it when you share videos and other postings. So please do that, and if you do share, please comment in the comments below and I will enter you into a chance to win the project I'm working on tonight. If you can't share, would you give me some hearts? Facebook likes the hearts better than the thumbs up in the algorithm. I'd appreciate that. If you're watching on YouTube, welcome. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe. And once you do, click the little blue bell and you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. Last week, I made this really cute, fun fold Christmas card. And because she shared and commented, Susan Johnson's getting this card. So Susan, I will be getting this out to you very soon. Okay, so with that being said, I'm not going to waste any further time. We're going to get right to tonight's project, and I hope it's one that you like. I'm going to change the view to my hands, and we're going to get started. Okay, I have to admit my desk is a little messy tonight. Right before I went live, a bunch of stuff fell off my desk, so nothing's where it belongs. So, we're going to make this card tonight using the So Very Merry stamp set. You might be like, I haven't seen that. Where's that in the catalog? It's not in the catalog. It is an online exclusive. So if you go to my website, denisewill.stampinup.net, you go to the shopping area, and usually down the left side of the screen, there will be a list. You'll see one of the menu options will be online exclusives. Click that button and that'll take you to lots of products that are only available online. You won't find them in the catalog. And there's even some new designer series paper in there too. So, and that stuff's available while supplies last with the designer series paper. Now, sometimes things on the online exclusives sell out, and usually, so far they're coming back. But it's a new thing that Stampin' Up's doing, and so I'm hoping they keep up with it, because it's nice to have a new influx of product as we go along. So we are going to be using this stamp set. Let me set this out of the way here. And we're going to be using this designer series paper here that fell just before I went live, so it's all messed up. This is called the Joy of Christmas designer series paper. So I thought I'd show you. I love both of these papers, and this doesn't even have to be Christmas. I think that could be anything. So we have this, and the other side of that is brown paper with the music notes on it. So this paper has kind of a green subdued pattern on it. Again, not really Christmassy, good for anything. And this is really pretty too. You know what? I bet you could use this for Valentine's Day to make a Valentine's Day card. What do we got here? There's this green paper here that has this, it's this wood tone on the back of it. Yeah, I've got my scraps separate. And then this is the back side of what we're using. It's this holly. And here's a wood tone that's more gray. See, remember we had a wood gray, or wood tone, a brown wood tone, and there's a gray wood tone. And then just like the music, there's one that's in gray, more of a gray and a brown. Actually, this color is Pebbled Path, and I believe this one is the Pecan Pie. So those are both are in color. This Pecan Pie, boy, you guys, I'm having a hard time tonight. So anyway, I know Pebble Path is a, and I believe Pecan Pie is an in color too. I don't know. I just had a senior moment. Sorry, seniors. Didn't mean to insult you. Just one of those days. You know how that goes. So now I'm trying to set this so it doesn't all fall again. Okay, while I'm showing you papers, I'm going to go ahead and show you the other paper that we're using. We're using this Distress Gold 12 by 12 specialty paper. And I like it, and I kind of like it better than our foils, because the foils you have to be careful with that you don't get indentations on them and things like that. But this doesn't have that problem. So I think I am going to go ahead, while I've got this out here, and punch a circle out of this, and then I can put this away. And I'm using the 2 3/8 inch punch out of the annual catalog. So let me go ahead and punch this, and then we will be ready to go. And it's just right behind our little medallion there with our kind of stained glass looking picture. Okay, so yep, that paper, that this this is the designer series paper here. It's on page 29. And let's see. Well, I've got this here. Let's see where that distressed gold is. If you're interested, I always have to look. Okay, I should know this, guys. But anyway, here it is, and it is. Where's it at? Where is it at? Huh. I'm not seeing it right off. Okay, I will have to look for it. Oh, is it there? No. Usually the papers are all up here. So why am I not seeing it? Oh, you know what? It's in the annual catalog. Duh. Okay, let's just get on to do some stamping, okay? Okay, so while we're here, I'm going to go ahead. This is the base. It's Boho. I decided to use Boho Blue. I really tried to pick some brighter colors to offset this Pebble Path here. So this is 8.5 by 5.5, folded in half, just like we always do. Then I have a piece of Daffodil Delight, and it is 5 1/4 by 4. And then this piece of the designer series paper is, let me get my measurements here. It's 4 3/4 by 3.5. So we're going to go ahead and just do all our layering our papers, or layering this now. So put everything on here. So have you placed an order for any of the new products from the holiday catalog? If you have, what have you ordered and what do you like? What's been your favorite item so far? Okay, there's that. I'd love to hear. Tell me. Because, you know, I never know what to buy. I like it all most of the time. Okay, so, and we're going to do some embossing. I love this stained glass look that they have. Actually, one of the hobbies I took up before kind of about the same time I started paper crafting was some stained glass. I find this much friendlier. You know, you can't be in a hurry when you're doing stained glass. Glass doesn't bend, doesn't tear, doesn't rip. You got to be patient. And sometimes I don't always have the patience. If I screw up with this, I just get a new piece of paper. Okay, so we're going to do some heat embossing. We're going to use our gold embossing powder out of the metallics package. And if you're not familiar, I'm using Versamark ink. If you're not familiar with Versamark ink, it's really what it is it's clear ink. It's kind of sticky, and it allows the embossing powder to stick to it so we can do our gold. I'm going to use this embossing buddy. This powder just kind of keeps the stray powder from sticking. So I'm going to ink up my stamp really well. Now you're not going to see much because, like I said, this is clear. I want to put it right here. I'm going to get a nice solid image here. Okay, there we go. I don't know if you can see it. Let's see. I'm having a hard time seeing it in the screen. You might catch, I don't know. I was trying to show you, but anyway, it's there. You'll see it now as soon as I take. Now this is our gold embossing powder. This is my favorite method for using embossing powder. Is just so it goes right back in the little container that I store it in. It takes up a little bit more room to store it in, but in the long run, it's a lot less messy. So I've poured it over a couple of times, shaking off any excess. I always try to look to see if there's any stray pieces of embossing powder, and usually there is. I try not, and I have a really fine paintbrush that I kind of use to brush it away. Hold on, I wanted to blow on that, but didn't want to do it into the embossing powder. Put a little bit more right there. There we go. I was a little sparse right there. I'm gonna move away from the camera and blow on it one more time. There we go. Good. I like that. We'll come back to that. I'll have to use that again for the sentiment. Now I'm going to take the heat embosser, and I don't know how loud this is going to be, so be careful. But we're going to heat this embossing powder, and it is going to melt, and it's going to turn shiny. Maybe it'll come back here while I'm heat embossing. Okay, yeah, it's coming back. There it is. Okay. So before it was very dull, now it's very shiny. Look at that. Isn't that cool? This was one of the very first techniques I learned, and I still love it to this day. Okay, there we go. Now I'm gonna go ahead and color her before I punch her out, because it will be easier to do. I want to get a piece of scrap paper for underneath, because the blends do bleed through. And I really didn't use a lot of blends here. I might need that yet. Okay, so I've used Daffodil Delight, dark and light. I have used Boho Blue, dark and light. I have used Ivory, and then I have used Medium Deep 300. This one is from the set of blends. They're in the annual catalog. They're on page 136, and they're right here, and they're natural tone stamping blends. So they're great, for doing other skin tones. There's a lot more variety there. So if you don't have those, that might be something you want to pick up and add to your blends collection. So, okay, we're going to start with her dress. And I'm going to start with the dark Boho Blue. I use, as often as I can, I use this tip to color with, because it's much sturdier than the little fine paintbrush tip, okay? But sometimes it's nice to have that fine paintbrush. Now you guys know I usually try to color ahead of time, but I felt like I wanted to do this, show you how to do this. Now, I try not to get my blends on top of the embossing powder if I can, the embossed area. I don't want it to smear into other areas. I don't want it to bleed. I don't know if it would bleed under the under it and come out on the other side. So I do use care when doing this, and sometimes I have to go back over and fill in some little spots. Okay, I think that's all. Only places I use the dark. So let me do the light here. I'll try to hurry through this here. But I also want to do a neat job because this card's gonna, somebody's gonna win this card. And I want it to be neat. But like I said, when I was deciding, I wanted to use that paper in Pebbled Path for a couple reasons. One, I don't always use the backs of the Designer Series paper, and there's some really good stuff back there. Also, it's a color that's a little bit harder to use. And so I'd like to demonstrate ways that you can use those colors in your crafting. Because Stampin' Up! Gives us great colors. Sometimes it just takes a while to be able to know how to integrate it into our crafting. Okay, there we go. I think that's all. I will come back and do the outside in blue in just a minute. I want to do her hair. Again, this is in this, it's SU 300. Believe it or not, her hair at first was yellow. Yeah, I made her kind of a blonde, but then I decided I wanted my background yellow, so colored over it with this blend. So the color may look a little bit different. Let's see. This little tiny piece here, I'm going to use this, and you barely have to touch it really to get the ink out. There you go. And I'm going to do her face and her hands. This one I definitely want. Oh, I missed a place for her hair, I think. Again, if you wanted an angel with a darker skin tone, these markers would be perfect. Let's see, this little piece right here is her hair too. Okay. Now we're going to do the background. We'll start with the darker Daffodil Delight and just alternate. Doesn't take long, and actually this would be a good project to do on kind of an assembly line if you wanted to mass produce these for your holiday Christmas cards. You know, you sit down and one day you do all the embossing, the next time you color them, then you sit down, you punch them out. You know, something you can certainly do while you sit and watch TV, listen to music, watch something, you know, on your computer. Let's see, yep, this one here. Let's see. Oh, and we got to do some darker ones under her wings. Oh, see this at the end of this, you remember I told you they kind of get destroyed? The end of this one is all kind of fuzzy. It's not very good, so I'm going to use the bigger, blunter end, and really it's going to be fine, because the nice thing about these alcohol markers is they do kind of, I'm going to say bleed, which we don't want them to do, but you can really just have to kind of touch them and they'll color in the space. You don't have to press very hard. Sorry. Okay, I'm on my way here. So yeah, when I was working on, when I was putting this together, I thought, what do I want to do with that outside part of this circle? Do I want to introduce a different color? Do I just want to use another color, you know, a color I've already used. And that's what I decided to do rather than introducing another color. I really liked the way she looked, and I liked this color palette, so I didn't want to screw it up really and have to do it again, if you know what I mean. How many times do you do that? You get almost through a project and you do something, and as soon as you do it, you knew that was the wrong thing. You got to start all over. So, that being said, it is only paper ink. So, it's okay. You can do more. Now, I'm going to go ahead and do the outside. And again, this is almost the width of this tip, so it's pretty easy to color in. Oops. Yeah, you know, I talked about, I wondered if the blends would bleed under the embossing powder. Maybe I'll have to do a little test and see. So, you know, there I went right over my embossed area, and I don't know if the blends would sit on top of that gold embossing powder and potentially smear. So that's another reason I try to not color on the gold embossing powder. And the reason I decided not to punch this out until after I colored it in is it just makes it so much easier to handle. Now, the wings are white, but can you tell what I did to them? I don't know if you can tell. Let's see. Can you see? I don't know if it's showing up on camera. I put Stella on them. You can see it in person. So while there's no color on them, there is some glitter to them. And I think it's just the right touch. Again, I didn't want to do too much. Let's see here. You guys know I don't usually color on camera because I know it's kind of boring, but I wanted you to see the process for this because this was a little bit different. But I think this little touch of Stella on these wings is just perfect. Now, what colors, tell me, what colors would you make your angel? Because really, you could do whatever color you wanted. Now, to punch this out, I'm using a retired, I think it's retired 2 1/4 inch punch. You know, you can use a circle die, you can use anything you want. Now, this fits very tight, and I'm probably going to punch off some of the gold embossing. Well, actually, no, it's just about right. I'm not sure if it's retired. I think it's retired, but I'm not entirely sure. Anyway, you could even just fussy cut it, you know, with a pair of scissors. But look at her. Isn't she gorgeous? I think she's so pretty. And I think you could do a variety of colors. I think it would be fun to do a bunch of them in different colors and see what you came up with. And see what I told you about they bleed? So you always have to be careful when you are using your blends that what's underneath is not something that you would be upset if you got it ruined. Okay, so we're going to also do our sentiment here. Now, this is a little different too. I use this Peace and Joy. Let me find it here. I use this Peace and Joy out of this stamp set. But you're like, Denise, your sentiment's straight and the stamp is curved. It is. Photopolymer you can manipulate a little bit to the shape you want. Now, I will be honest with you, I'm having a hard time. It doesn't want to stay straight, so I have to be very quick. And, but I just don't like the curve that it is. It just doesn't look right to me. So I really try to straighten it out. tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna press on that hard just to hold it in place. We'll get my Versamark out. Whoops, sorry, didn't mean to throw that. Get my Versamark out. Looks pretty darn close here. Hold, push that down. I've never had difficulty getting one to straighten out for me like this. But I'm gonna put this on here real quick. Looks pretty straight, I can tell. So, but it's, I'll leave it here and we'll watch. We'll see how long it takes for it to kind of pop back to curved. But it works. If you had another sentiment, you could, but I wanted to stay with the same stamp set. Okay, so I'm going to put the, oops, the embossing powder on here. I'm realizing in my eagerness to stamp, I didn't use my embossing buddy. So let me, I got to put a little bit more right on that Y. I'm going to move away from the camera for a second. I've got embossing powder all over me. Oh well, it's part of crafting, right? If you don't get dirty, did you really craft? Okay, I'm gonna get my tweezers here to hold this because this does get very hot, and I want something. Tell you what I'm gonna do, because there's no stiffness to this. It's just gonna kind of blow. I'm going to use it like that so that it doesn't blow away. You'll see what I mean. Okay, we're going to emboss again. Here comes the gun. See, if I didn't have that, it'd be blowing around. So there we go. It's pretty straight. It's not exactly perfect, but you know what? It's handmade. I'm happy with it. That's what matters. Okay, we're going to do the banner on the ends. You know, you could put some ribbon on this if you want. You could, on this card, you could put some embellishments. But I thought, you know what? I've got 3 different gold elements on this. I decided I didn't want to put anything else. I've got the embossing on the sentiment. I've got the embossing on this. And I have a little bit of gold behind it. Let's see. I'm going to make it just a little bit shorter. I'm going to put it in one more time. Oops. Come on. I'm trying to wait. Maybe there's a piece of paper in there. Usually slides right in there. What's holding it up? Something doesn't want to go. That's odd. Try the other side. I don't know. Sometimes you just have to finesse. Okay, that one's all the way in. Okay, let's go one. Let's try this one again now. It just, for some reason, that is weird. I have never had that happen before. Let me play with this one here and see if I can just... Yeah, that one's working just fine, so I don't know what's going on. Well, this end does not want to go in. Crazy. I'll try it just to see if it goes in that way. It doesn't want to go in that way either. That's bizarre. There we go. I think it was catching on the punch. Okay. There we go. Now. Okay, we're going to get our embellishments. We need that. Or not our embellishments, our dimensionals. And we will be almost done. Like I said, this wouldn't be a bad card to make en masse if you had, you know, time to do it. This isn't something that you could probably whip out quickly. Let's see, let's put her right here. Okay, cut this one in half for my sentiment. So as I wrap up here, please, if you have any questions, let me know. This is my website. This is my host code. Appreciate it if you use it when you make a purchase. And again, if you got any questions, let me know. Next Saturday is my stamp class here. If you're local, I've got 4 great Christmas cards that everyone's going to make. And there we are. There she is, from So Very Merry, the angel. So I hope you liked tonight's project, and I'd love to see if you have this stamp set. I'd love to see what you've made with it. Put a picture down in the comments. Thanks, everybody. Have a great evening and rest of your week. Bye now.